Hey guys, this is Andrew from Bullshit Games, also known as the Lich Lord. And today I'm going to be introducing a new segment. And this segment is basically going to be talking about books, book series, both science fiction, fantasy, maybe some horror. We get some Cthulhu mythos in there at some point, maybe some H.P. Lovecraft and Philip K. Dick, maybe some Vonnegut, stuff like that. But today, I'm going to be talking about fantasy, especially epic fantasy. And series I'm going to be focusing on is A Song of Ice and Fire from George R. R. Martin. Now, before getting into the series proper, I'll be talking about the author himself a little bit. Now, George R. R. Martin is commonly referred to as the American Tolkien, and whether you agree with that or don't agree with that, I think we can all agree that he is a very prominent writer, and probably one of the best fantasy writers that is currently writing fantasy today. Maybe even one of the best fantasy writers who's ever written in the fantasy genre. I don't know. That's more of an opinion than an actual argument, but I think I can make a pretty good argument for that. He's definitely one of the best, and I like his stuff a lot. People might be more familiar with the television show that has come out that is based on A Song of Ice and Fire called Game of Thrones, which is on HBO, which is also a very good show. They do a very good job with that, and I don't know. I've heard mostly good things from both fans of the books and fans of the show. I think it's kind of unanimous that it's a pretty well done show and that it follows the canon that the book set forth. In fact, I think George R. R. Martin actually wrote several episodes for the show. But also, aside from doing epic fantasy, George R. R. Martin also wrote a lot of science fiction. He wrote a novel in the 1980s, titled Fever Dreams. He also wrote a book called The Armageddon Rag, I believe it's called, which is a very science fiction novel. Both are very good. I haven't read them, but I've heard really good things about them and so forth. I'm probably going to eventually read them at some point. He has written multiple short stories also, which is kind of one of those things that's surprising because a lot of people who write very long narratives have a hard time writing good short stories. I don't know. One person I've heard talk about this a lot, a prominent writer in fantasy genre, is Brandon Sanderson. He says he has a really hard time writing short stories, but his novels are like 1,000 pages long, and they're awesome novels. Where it's kind of interesting because George R. R. Martin is able to write really good short stories, and all of these novels, I'm pretty sure, are above at least 900 pages. They're very large books. But now, I'll get into the books themselves. The first book in the series is The Game of Thrones, which I have a very old and worn copy of this book. In fact, if you can see on the spine, there is I think it's right around, right about there. I don't know what happened. But yeah, this book was given to me from my cousin, Brandon, probably about 4 or 5 years ago, maybe. I actually started reading this book about a year before the television series came out. And I read it for several reasons, one of them being the fact that I knew there was a television series coming out. I knew it had a really high production value, and I like fantasy. So I was like, oh yeah, okay, I'll borrow this from him. And I gotta admit, I kind of kept it, but I think he gave it to me. Hopefully he gave it to me. If he sees this video, if you want it back, I'll give it back, but I really like this copy. But as you can see, this book has been through the proverbial war. I don't know if it's possible to read brutally, but yeah, he definitely read this book brutally. But anyways, this book was published in 1996 by Batman Books. It's a really good book. It primarily deals with basically just kind of the beginning of a conflict between the Lannisters, the Starks, and the Baratheons. And I kind of want to avoid as many spoilers as I can in this video because I know, and it's almost impossible with this series. So if you haven't read the books, and I accidentally spoil something, I am very sorry. But I'll seriously try not to. But basically, the main plot of this book is Ned Eddard Stark is appointed as Hand of the King by Robert Baratheon, the King of Westeros, and he goes to the south. He gets kind of embroiled in the politics of the area. Let's put it that way. He's very much and if you've read the book, Eddard is a very kind of truthful, honest, honorable man. And let's just say it. Possible spoiler. It doesn't end well for Ned. Let's put it that way. And basically, that will lead into the second book of the series, which is A Clash of Kings, which is basically the result of the, basically resulted conflict of that happened after the first book. Basically, what happened throughout the first book led to a war, a not very nice war, let's put it that way. And this book basically covers that. You are also, and I should have mentioned this with the first book, but Jon Snow, who is one of the main characters, ended up in the north in what's known as the Night's Watch. And this follows a lot of their journey throughout the north. They go to the Fist of the First Men, things like that. And but yeah, this basically mostly this deals with the war between the Baratheons and the Lannisters in King's Landing and the battle that ensues there and all that good stuff. Third book in the series is my favorite so far, and this is actually the current series that's on TV right now, which is Storm of Swords. Storm of Swords continues the conflict between the Lannisters and the Starks. Basically the same characters. It introduces some new characters. And the book before kind of introduced a lot of new characters too, such as Brienne of Tarth and things like that. I think this book has some point of view from Jaime Lannister, which is interesting. The whole incestual relationship with him as his sister, which upon reading the first book and from seeing the first season of the TV show, comes off as really creepy, and it is creepy. There's no doubt that incest is wrong, but at the same time, it makes it a little bit more understandable why they are like that. Not to say that it's an excuse, but I don't know. It's interesting that you can kind of get more in depth with why people would do something like that. Let's put it that way. The fourth book in the series, which actually goes along simultaneously with the fifth book, A Dance with Dragons, is A Feast for Crows. And alright, this is a little side note on the publishing of these books. It's that I just cannot seem to find the same, theme. I realize these two are the same. These two are the same themes, right? And this may be my, me being a little bit anal retentive about my books. But I wish I could have got this book in the same format as these ones, which for some reason I can't find this one in this format, and obviously I'm not going to buy it now because I've already read this one. But ultimately, I really like this format, and this is just I really like. I don't know. I like the artwork on the front. I think this is a really cool format, and when I first got into the series, I wanted to try to buy all the books in this format. But unfortunately, I couldn't find a way to. I looked on Amazon, pretty much everything you possibly could, and I could not find all the books in this format. But, it really doesn't make that much of a difference. It's really the content of the books that you want, not necessarily the cover. But I like that cover. I think that cover is nice, but that's just me. But anyways, the fourth book, this takes place simultaneously with the fifth. And this deals mostly with the conflict in Westeros, especially around the region of King's Landing. With the political intrigue, it follows Samwell Tarly, which he is introduced as a point of view character in this book. Which his storyline actually is really interesting. I really, throughout the first and second book, I wasn't all that invested into his character. But this book especially made his character very interesting. The fourth and the fifth are a little bit slower than the first three, but I think they're still really good. Definitely. And the fifth book, which is A Dance with Dragons, and because publishers like to bring everything out in hardcover now, I had to get this one in hardcover. But that's cool because I really like the format of this book. I think they really did a really good job with it. I'll just take the cover off to show you some of the maps. I think that's one of the coolest things about this book, especially. I mean, there are maps throughout these too. I can probably show you some of these. Let me see here. Yeah, here we go. Like here we have a map of the north. You can see it. Map of the north and a map of the south. What else does it have in here? Beyond the Wall, which is a nice map. And Valeria, which is another nice map. And I think that's all in yep, that's all that is in this one. See if there's any in the back. Nope, there aren't. But this one has even more maps, which is cool because, I don't know, I'm kind of a map nerd, I gotta admit. And I think maps are one of the things that's coolest about fantasy. So, but anyways, this one has also map of the north and a map of the south. You can see them, which is the same as in the other book too, but this one's a little clearer because it's bigger. Let's see here. There's also Beyond the Wall again, but this gives a list of some of the other castles that are down here. You can see, get a nice close view for you there. Eastwatch by the Sea, the different castles that are on the wall. Some nice little artwork around the edges. Really like the format of that map. And the free cities, which I always wondered what these free cities exactly look like. And this is a very, very cool map. I like that one a lot. And I think there's one more in here. Maybe I'm wrong. Nope, there's one more, which is Valeria, which is also in the last book. But I think that one's a little bit clearer because it's larger and there's dragons. And it's just a nice map. I like that map. But this book, also similarly to the fourth book, is a little bit slower than the first three. This book deals with what is going on in the free cities with Tyrion, and what is going on with Daenerys in the whole other region, the whole other map. It deals with what's going on beyond the wall with Jon Snow, and yeah, this book is also very good. It is a little bit slower, as I said, but it's very good. The ending of this book, I'm still kind of baffled, and as I said, I don't want to put any spoilers out there, but one of my favorite characters, I won't say one of them, but I'm not even going to say it. A very influential character may be dead, and it'd be very sad if he did, but I'm not going to put it past George R. R. Martin, because he likes to really kill his characters. He really does. But anyways, that's the 5 books that are out so far, and there are going to be 2 more. The next one out is going to be The Winds of Winter, I believe, and I'm not sure what the 7th book is going to be called. It might be out there somewhere on the interweb, so if you do know, share it. But anyways, some of the major themes throughout these books are just kind of the nature of political power in regions. How politics kind of becomes backstabbing, basically. How the amount of corruption in society and things like that. Some other themes are just the dysfunctionality of families. The Lannister family especially. I mean, basically, Tywin Lannister is, the patriarch of the family, basically. And he's so obsessed with success and his image and the family image that the rest of his family just becomes really messed up because of it. I mean, Jaime and Cersei are both, they're brother and sister, and they're in a sexual relationship, which is, not good. Tyrion, who's a dwarf, obviously, he's been so mistreated by his father throughout, not only his father, but society in general. He's been looked down on, kicked upon, and Tyrion is definitely a fan favorite of, in the series. And he's probably one of my favorite characters, other than maybe like Jon Snow, and I really like Brienne of Tarth. I don't know, I enjoy when there are strong female characters in fantasy. Maybe that's just me. Maybe it's not. I don't know, but I like Brienne of Tarth. But that's about it for this review, for this discussion, I should say. It's not so much a review, because, if I were to review this book, I would give it a 10 out of 10. It's awesome, these books. Definitely, if you're a fantasy fan, read them. Even if you're not a fantasy fan, and you really just like to read good books, I would suggest reading it, because you can be completely unfamiliar with the fantasy genre and still really enjoy these books. But that's it for this episode of whatever we're going to call it, book discussion, I guess. That'd probably be a good title. Next one of these, I'm going to try to do the Wheel of Time series. I'm on the 14th book of the series right now. It's another awesome series, and I look forward to finishing that. It's almost like end of an era. Another writer that's upcoming that I really like is Patrick Rothfuss, which I really suggest people check out. The Name of the Wind, which is really good. I have just bought the second book, and I want to read that soon, hopefully this summer. Brandon Sanderson, Stormlight Archives series. The first book came out, I think, in 2010, maybe 2011, I'm not sure. I should have checked this, but The Way of Kings is the title of the book. It's very good. Definitely a really different take on the fantasy genre in general. But that's just a couple that are upcoming. I'm going to be talking about some science fiction also. I want to talk about the Dune series at some point. I want to talk about Starship Troopers, maybe with the Merc at some point. I want to talk about the Dark Tower series, which is both me, myself, and the Mercs. One of our favorite series of books in general. And that's just kind of what to look for coming up. There's obviously going to be a lot more than that. And whenever I finish talking about some of the books I've already read, maybe we'll get into some, maybe a book club thing where I'll come on here and I'll say, hey, I'm going to read this fantasy book or this science fiction book, and maybe if you guys want to follow along, me and the Merc will read these books and we'll give you a review. And if the book sucked, then we'll say it sucked. If the book is really good, then we'll say it was really good. If it's kind of we'll say it was But anyways, that's it for now, and I will see you next time.